The policies of government these days also is giving some people worries. Perhaps one major issue is the registration for NIN, which NIMS is overseeing. You see a lot of Nigerians who are trooping to that place, and people were asking the question, is that the right time to bring this kind of policy to bear, or to ask Nigerians to go out, giving them a very tough deadline?
The government has been for a very long time engaged in community messaging. It has been said that we should all adhere to social distancing, use sanitizers, wear masks, and don't gather in crowds. So it is expected, I believe, that people will keep to these laws. It should become second nature. So even if you are invited to register at a NIN, for example, it shouldn't be impossible to keep the distancing. You will see that even at the airport and in several other service facilities, people do keep distancing. And at the registration of the NIN, which was to keep to a deadline, I mean, at least to periods that were set, the rollout came on, and the public did not adhere to the rules. It was not calculated that it should be that way.
I think, Minister, one thing that is critical is the timing. So, I mean, you cannot predict how people will gather when they are rushing for time. When they're looking at the deadline, there was a deadline and it's been shifted again. When the government says do not gather in large numbers in public, but yet again you're asking people to go and register for a particular thing that the deadline is closed, isn't that a recipe for some kind of disaster?
No, not necessarily, because you have the possibility of queuing. It is something that's already well known in the country, that you remember since the days of war against indiscipline, people were taught to queue. If you go to the bank, you queue. If you go to the post office, you queue. And if you go and register at NIN for your identity papers, you also queue. That is what is expected. You queue if you go to any of the service stations. But the loss of control, of crowd control, it's probably something that the authorities didn't reckon with, and they should have probably thought about that and forced, or rather recommended queuing and placing distancing. If you go to the airport now, they mark out where you should stand and where people should stand and the distances that should be between individuals.